Something, I got something them. I don't, might be a crappie.
Oh, you got one on?
It might, I'm not sure. Yeah, one.
Nice one, you need a net?
Yeah. Hey, no, I don't need a net on this one.
Oh,
But it's a starter fish.
Tell you what, it's a good, that's a good starter fish.
Yeah, for surfs up. I don't know, wherever Ty and I go fishing, which we do a couple times a year to fish for crappies or walleyes, you can count on the wind blowing, gusting in the 30s, and that's on a good day. The wind just follows us everywhere. And we had a chance to get away today. I was out here about 5-6 days ago, and we caught some pretty nice fish. I said, we can definitely get a good crappie bite. They're going, they're setting up in the right position, and we're gonna get into a little detail when I'm talking about the right position. The challenge we got now is making them bite in 25-mile-an-hour winds and occasionally hitting 30. Can we complete the task?
I think we've done it enough times now. I think we can make it happen.
That's gonna be it. We'll make it happen. Got him.
That one?
That's a better one, Ty.
Nice.
That one might be a netter.
Might be a net. I'm a good net guy, so.
Oh yeah, she's one of the big ones.
Like to hear that.
Big fish. Coming up, she thinks she's a bass.
I was gonna say, oh yeah, that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
beautiful fish, Al.
Yeah, there. That's what we come out here for. I had a warm-up fish, and then I says, I want to show you guys some really big crappies. So we're trying to adapt to mega winds, but that's a big gal by anybody's standards. And by the end of the day today, we will have a number of these, no matter. I think, you know what we're gonna do with this show? How to fight tough conditions and catch crappies in 30-mile-an-hour winds after a cold front. But they're here, bro. Good ones.
There's one out. It's not as big as the ones you've been catching, but I'm finally on the board. It's actually kind of interesting. This is, you can tell some of these fish, they're just coming off the spawn, and not every fish will spawn. This is actually a female. You can tell it's pretty white in coloration, where the males during the spawn will turn black. In fact, a couple of the ones that Al caught still have a lot of that black male tone to them. They turn black when they start to spawn. So they're definitely coming out to spawn, but they're out in that 15, 12, I'd say 7 to 15 feet of water, right on the weed line. And this is some of the best time to catch crappies. And again, if you're gonna eat a crappie, I would eat that all day long. The ones that Al had been catching before this one, I'd throw those back. Those are good spawners. It's a great fish, so I'm on the board.
Got him, man. Shallow fish, good crappie. Yeah. There's some way up on top, still. Come on.
Still got some black to them, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, I gotta sit down here a second. Old man like me gets wore out fighting this wind all the time. Yeah, this one's black. We'll throw this one back. We got a few fish we're gonna keep for photos that we gotta get. Yeah, no, let me explain to you. We're in one of these unique opportunities where you could score on a lot of crappies. Everybody knows if you fish up north that after the spawn, the crappies go to the weed line, and as soon as you start finding developing cabbage, you start to fish it. And they slowly build up. You know, within 10 days after the spawn, a lot of them are out on these spots. But then you got a period of time that'll go for 2 to 3 weeks or a month, depending on the lakes that we're on here, where the junkweed, and I'll show it to you on my hummingbird later, the junkweed is starting to come off the bottom, and it will eventually choke out the cabbage. And that it gets so dense you can never get a bait in front of the fish. But this time of the year, middle of the day like this, when these weeds are still sparse enough before they get choked out by the junkweed, you can catch a lot of crappies. Why? Because you can get a bait in front of their nose. But this is one of those windows of time that in our part of the world is a good crappie time. got him. I think it's a walleye, almost sure.
You know, when you come out here and fish walleyes and catch bonus crappies, it's not too bad to come out here and crappie fish and catch bonus walleyes.
In a lot of lakes, you're crappie fishing, you're getting into bass, you're getting into walleyes this time of year up in the shallow water. All these bonus fish happen to come along. Well, you could do this again another day. No, it isn't. It is a crappie.
It is a big crappie. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He's not hooked very good, so. Oh gosh, I thought it was. Oh my gosh. You know, when you're catching walleyes mixed in with crappies, you just never know what you're gonna catch. And when you get a big crappie, sometimes you actually think it's a walleye. Look at the size of this fish. If I can get him out of the net. Whoa, look at that thing, huh? This is what Al and I have been catching today. This is what we've been targeting today. And sometimes when you got walleyes mixed in with crappies, you don't know which it is. I actually thought this was a walleye for a second there. It fought so well, and it's just that big. I mean, when you come to Minnesota, or even the 5-state area, I mean, everybody loves to catch crappies. And when you catch crappies like that, they're worth targeting, no question about it.
I think I got another netter.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like that.
Oh, there you go. Not quite as big as that last one.
Well,
but
when you're saying that that's not quite as big as the last one, you're saying a lot.
you know, it's funny. The fish are not real active right now. We're having to cast to these things. Yeah, you know, when they get going, like we're rigged with floats, we're rigged with hard baits, we're rigged with jigs, a variety of different baits that we're playing with. Swimming a jig right now in the super wind has been the best so far. Let's talk a little bit about the artificial baits and how popular they've become in the crappie world. And here's some of our favorite ones that we guarantee you put some fish in the boat. In the world of pan fishing, there's no shortage of sizes, colors, and types of artificial baits. For our money, if the fish are shallow, say 3 to 10 foot, the Rapala X-Rap is just tough to beat. This lure has a hunting action and it suspends neutrally when you pause the bait. Crappie love it. We can fish it fast or slow depending on the mood of the fish. Next is the Old Faithful VMC Curly Tail Spinnerbait. You can fish this all season long in any environment. It works shallow, it works along weedline, it works around wood. This tried and true spinner always produces results. When it comes to a plain jig and plastic, there's countless options. We like the Neon Moon Eye jig for swimming applications. The aspirin-shaped head, 3D eyes, black nickel hook, and solid bait keeper are a great combo for any soft bait package. Big Bite Baits make a number of trailers. Here are some of the best for swimming in and around the weeds. The 2-inch Fat Grub is one of the best profiles for swimming. The slightest movement gets this tail going. The Kamikaze Swim-On is a unique swim bait. It has a rib body to displace more water and a unique tail, which can be rigged 2 different ways on a jig, depending on the fall rate you were looking for. Finally, the Lindner Panfish Special is what we're using today. This unique jig has a soft body and a feathered tail and is the best of both worlds. Crappies can't resist it.
There we go.
Yay!
Starting to wonder. Oh, nice crappie.
Oh yeah, good one, good one. Good one, man.
Nice crappie.
Good one, bro.
Nice. Watch this.
Let me get that. Oh, boy, you whipped that sucker in fast.
Has to be quick. Boy, he's just absolute tank. And you know what? Some of the funnest time to catch crappies, no question about it, for me anyway, and I'm sure a lot of you out there, is that early summer weed line crappie bite. The opportunities are endless for catching these things, especially when they're aggressive. We get this back, and you know, Al was talking about some of the equipment that we use is extremely technical, and the rods are no different. Let me get this back to you and show you the rod we're using today. Now, St. Croix came out with, you know, they've actually transitioned from a lot of the rods we're doing. They added to their selection, and they've gotten real technical, from species-specific rods to technique-specific rods. And they came out with this Avid panfish rod here a few years ago, and it is an unbelievable rod. It's one of the most Sensitive rods, one of the lightest rods. It's actually become one of my favorite rods in my arsenal. You know what they did is they put an SC3 plus carbon blank in this thing, and they added this really nice cork handle, fits your hand perfectly, you don't get any kind of fatigue. And again, if you talk about a light rod, this might be one of the lightest, most sensitive panfish rods that I've used. You know, on this, pairing with this rod, I got this Legalis LT 1000. Now LT again stands for, we've talked about it in the past, but it's light and tough. You know, again, this rod is super light. You don't want to put a real heavy reel on this, so this light and tough 1000 Legalis is a perfect pair for this Avid Panfish Series rod.
We talked about the rods, we talked about the reels, we talked about the lures. I want to talk a little bit about the line. This is a new line that Suffolk came out with. It's called Revolve, a new line from Suffolk designed specifically for finesse fishing with light, small baits geared toward the panfish market. Smooth like silk, flies off the reel. You can throw small baits with it. That's Suffolk's Revolve, new strain of line from Suffolk's.
Oh, just another beauty. You know, when you're picking out a rod to use, length really is important, especially when you're talking about casting over, you know, weed lines in wind. We're using that Avid Panfish rod, but it's a 7-foot medium light extra fast. I like that longer rod because you can definitely, even in the wind, you can get your really light jigs
big crappie
over
again.
that big weed beds that you're casting over.
That might be the biggest
So that
one
long
of the day.
rod is not even a question, is extremely important in this equation to cover a lot of water. But there we go. Wow,
we've had bigger, but she's big
She
enough.
was a dandy either way, man.
Yeah. You know, what we've been doing here, just to give you an idea, you know, we're trying to compensate for the wind every way we possibly can. So we're casting in some key areas when we get into the, you know, real good weeds. And then when we're seeing these fish, they're probably almost a block long break line that's got scattered crappies where the weeds are the densest. Yeah, you know, and we're just covering up, we're just fishing through them, fishing through them, fishing through them. We slip drifted this time through here. We caught a few doing that. Then we're gonna go back, position, cast up, and keep working. We have to stay here for a while because the wind is so bad. I can't get to the school of big fish that lives over there about a mile. I can't get to that school, so we're gonna have to work this school over. But it doesn't make no difference. There's some big ones in here too. And you know, springtime like this, spring going into summer is one of the better crappie times, although everything bites now, you know, this time of the year. In the month of June in our part of the world up north here, it's like magic. The fishing is so good, so good. And that's my favorite month of the year, and October. The biggest question we get and wake up in the morning, like when I talked to Ty yesterday, you want to go catch crappies or do you want to go catch walleyes? Let's go get the crappie. So weather didn't make no difference. We went crappie fishing, or we're going crappie fishing and catching some.
Oh, I'm just a really, really good net man now.
And you got a good net to do it with. Oh, these are some darn nice fish. You know, in our part of the world, catching crappies like this. You know, crappies like cover, there's no question about that. And up north where we fish, we don't have a lot of lakes that have wood. And most of our cover is in the form of weeds. You know, different kinds of weeds that the crappies use based on forage and everything else. You get down south, it's real common, you know, to have brush piles dumped in a lake, crappie brush piles all over the place. Fish attractors like that in Wisconsin, they've got what they call fish shelters. They take piles of rocks and wood and dump them all over the lake because they don't have a lot of weeds in those lakes. So they're trying to give the fish, you know, cover. The lakes that we have in Minnesota, we don't have that much of a problem. You know, we got weeds and everything becomes relative. That's what the crappies use until later in the year when it gets cold and they start going out. But for most of the season now, the weeds are the answer. You know, that's where they're living. This is cabbage going, these are cabbage beds here. You can barely see that line down there, that's the bottom. From there up is that junk weed that I'm talking about that will grow up and it will choke out those cabbage stalks as the water warms. That junk weed starts coming off the bottom, and every 3-4 days you could see it just grow and grow. You can see that faint line there, that's the actual bottom, that's bait above it there. So I'm running that down imaging. I got the map on a spot here, and then I got Mega Live down here that you're seeing the fish getting there. But that's what's happening.
Oh, there's one. Oh, another giant, another giant. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Holy cow. Dude, like holy cow, I haven't been on a giant crappie like this in a long time. Look at that.
You know, we've been fishing a pretty darn big wind today, and I got to give a shout out to this Minn Kota Quest trolling motor. It is the most powerful trolling motor. It is the best trolling motor I've ever fished with, period. And I know I say that every generation that Minn Kota comes out with something different, but this new Quest, it is unbelievable the kind of wind and waves and power in this motor. You've got to have it on a boat and pull it and see what it does. Right now, we've got a little bit, Ty's just been pounding the big crappies off of one corner. And I'm right up here spot locked with the wind to our back, and we're making really accurate casts. We're not casting sideways where we're getting big bows in our line necessarily. It's all going off the back, so we got a little bit more control over the jig. But I had to say something about this Quest trolling motor. It truly is an amazing, amazing trolling motor.
Okay, there's one right there. Right underneath the boat. Right underneath the boat. We've caught so many of these, I'm just gonna do one of these. Look at that. Woo. Look at that. Love jigs. Do you love crappie fishing? You better pick up some micro jigs, because that is no question the ticket for giant crappies.
You know, every day we make decisions that will impact our life tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, years from now. What we eat, where we go, do we exercise, do we take care of our body, do we seek wise counsel, am I feeding my body, my mind, my spirit man, keeping everything tuned up, ready to face the day so I'm healthy, strong, and successful. Everybody wants to make wise decisions, decisions that'll help us in life to live simply a better life. My favorite book in the Bible is Proverbs, and it's written by Solomon, who is considered the wealthiest, smartest, wisest man that ever lived. You know, in my office over the years, I've got a library filled with self-help books. You know, lots of them. And I wanted to improve my lifestyle, my family lifestyle. A lot of it is religious programming. A lot of it is how you think and how to do business, is wise counsel from very successful business people. And in my business, I'm fortunate enough to have meet and work with some people that are incredibly mighty men of God and so wise. Their businesses are hugely blessed, and in return, they bless the body of Christ. They give, they take care of people in need. It's amazing if you know how much some of these people give and what they do to contribute to the world that we live in. But that's a side note. And you learn from somebody else. That's where wisdom comes from. But the Bible is filled with wisdom in the book of Proverbs. I can't say enough about picking up the book of Proverbs. You're looking for the answers to life. Any issue in life, I don't care what the question is, the book of Proverbs has something for you to glean out of it. And if you've never read it, I strongly suggest you open up the book of Proverbs and read it. And you want to know more about the Word of God, the power of God, and how to implement this book into your life, read the book of John in the Gospels. Go to the book of John after that, and then just kind of be led where to go from there. But I can't say enough of the reason I'm encouraging you to read Proverbs. It's all about life today. The things that we're dealing with today makes no difference what they are. today, the world that we live in today. And it's amazing. This book was written thousands of years ago, and it applies. You read it and you say, it's today, it's now, it's real. Because it is real. It's the living word. Hey, from all of us here at The Edge, have a great fishing season. Gain as much knowledge as you can on the water to catch more fish and how to live a more fulfilled life. From all of us here at The Edge, have a good season. We'll see you on the water.
Closed captioning is provided by Smooth Moves, adjustable boat seat suspensions for a smoother ride. This segment is brought to you by Sunset Country, Ontario, Canada. You gotta come visit.
So that was on a number 8 shad wrap.
Your style of boat control is really key.
One that was there from the very beginning.
You want to be able to see in the water. The adventure begins.
We are loaded for bear. We got
You know,
bites.
there's so many different ways to fish for walleye. Dependability and efficiency.
Simple, fast, and easy.
The best rods on the planet. They like to eat when you're throwing the right thing.
You don't have all bluebird flat calm days.
Just a perfect eating size fish. See, that's what I'm talking about, these Daiwa drags.
We got walleye stuff, we got crappie stuff, we got pike stuff.
This boat is rigged up about as nice.
Easy to use, and it flat out works.
It's a must-have when you're talking about big waves.
Well, these trout are so darn tough.
Incredible 11-year warranty.